Hi, I'm Katie, and I'm here to talk about my April reading wrap up. So, one thing you have to know, I'm a teacher, and April and May are my worst months reading every year because they are really tough months to be a teacher, followed by December. But they are tough months. They are very busy months. They are very exhausting months, and they are usually my worst months for reading numbers. So I just did not hit my normal levels, and I had a hard time picking books because I was just the decision fatigue is real. And if you know someone who's in the school system in any way, shape, or form, decision fatigue is real for us. And so I have to be honest, it's just not the same level. And so just kind of bear with me. My family is bearing with me right now. And also the amount of books I'm reading, and also the depth of books I'm reading is not at the same depth because I'm kind of getting to summer. And in summer, I have some serious plans for some great books. I have some plans for different types of books I want to do, some prompts I want to do, and my reading will go back way up again in summer. But for April and May, I am in kind of survival, intensely survival mode. May gets even worse. But I want to talk a little bit about my April books. I started April off with Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children. It is the first in Miss Peregrine's Peculiar Children series. It was also my Chantel Reads All Days. I'm doing her Read Your Bookshelf Challenge for the year. And this month was a conjunction in the title. I thought it was going to be easy for me. It was very difficult, but four is a conjunction. So I started off, got that off my list. And it's a young adult book, it's a young adult series. I haven't read it in years. I suggest it to my students, and I always let them vote on a book for me. I started that, and they really enjoyed it. And they picked this one, and I was so glad they did because I'd forgotten how great of a book this was. It's genre bending, fantasy, thriller, horror, and thoroughly enjoyed this book. Oh, and a little bit of romance. Um, thoroughly enjoyed this book. Seriously, go read this series. Um, just I posted some review about it, but on my Instagram page, but thoroughly enjoyed this book. Think more adults should read this series. Plan to read more of the series over the summer, probably, or into next year. Love this series, and I think it should be more of an adult series. Okay. Next was a nonfiction book, and it's a new nonfiction book, We the Women, The Hidden Heroes. Both of these are 5 stars for me. We the Women is about different forgotten women in American history. Women, a lot of them I didn't know as a history teacher, and plan to integrate more into my classroom. By Nora O'Donnell, who is a journalist. Really superb book. Introduction is to some forgotten women in American history. 5 star read for a nonfiction book that read very interesting. Highly suggest. She did a great job at finding diverse women too, which I always look for in nonfiction book that is anthology of either men or women. Fantastic book. Waited for that for a while though to come in. Next, I do actually have here, and it is The Keeper of Lost Causes. This was a buddy read that tried to be a buddy read. My buddy DNF'd it, and I loved the Netflix series Department Q, so I thought I was going to love this book. Department Q set in England. This is set in Copenhagen. Just a 3 star for me. Honestly, I hate to say this in the book world, and even as myself, I prefer the TV series. Um, I will continue to read this series. I did not love the book, so I'm not quite sure where the disconnect was either, and neither did my friend who buddy read it with me. We just couldn't figure out where the disconnect was, but just not. It's a thriller series about cold case department. Not sure what it was that disconnected from us, but not my favorite. But love the series and waiting for the next season to come out, like much later this year. And I never, ever, ever like the TV series more. So I'm not sure if it's the casting, if it's the way it's written. I don't know, but not a fan. Okay, the next was my next foray into Simone St. James. Um, and I'm still a fan. The Broken Girls, it is about a home for the girls that have kind of been left behind. And I did talk about this in a previous video. And it's a historical fiction thriller. Loved it. Also a little bit of horror. Not my favorite part. Didn't need it. Felt like I didn't need it. But the historical fiction part of it. Also a little bit about like Nuremberg trials and Nazi hunting, and I could have done totally without the supernatural part of it. I just felt like it wasn't needed. Um, but the rest of it, like it talks about unwed mothers in history, missing women, um, the women like the world forgets, the young girls the world forget. Oh, 5-star read. I started out strong this, except for the Keeper of Lost Causes. I felt like I started out strong, and then we went into the Book Witch. So I did a TBR cards pick, and the TBR card I got was a book picked by your husband from your TBR box, like from your TBR stack. This was my book of the month pick, and he picked this one for me. So glad he did. After reading some kind of tough books, like back to back to back, they were all like tough history, nonfiction, forgotten children. Um, like I needed something light, and he picked a great light book. Um, it's similar to the Astral Library, but very different, and I enjoyed it. So I do. I highly suggest this book. Don't read it right after the Astral Library. Don't read them right next to each other because it's too easy to compare them. But love this. Love books about books, and I think it's a fun light book about books. Highly suggest it. My friend read it. She said she compared it to the Book Wanderer series for children. Um, I felt like it was very plot twisty. She said she didn't feel like it was plot twisty, but as a book, it was really good. I have another friend who's planning to read it. Very good. Make Shaver. I plan to read her other books now. I've read one of her other books. Um, Wishing Game, yes, but light twisty. I read another nonfiction called Starvation Heights. Also talked about that previously, but nonfiction reread for me. True crime. Please, podcast. If you are a podcaster out there that does crime, please somebody pick this up and talk to you about it. So good. Such a good story. Love Greg Olson for true crime stories because he's in an interesting. I'm not a huge true crime book fan. Just not my thing. Um, love this Starvation Heights. Still a great reread. Huge fan. Then I did one that this is a returning author, Alex Harrow. I've read a couple of her other books. The Everlasting. Not my favorite book by this author. I'll be honest. Good book. Um, kind of an like it. I've read a couple other books I prefer by this author. Good book. Solid book. Solid 4 stars, which for me means good book. Not great. Good. Um, I would recommend it to somebody who wants like bookish fantasy book, a, a bookish book about books, fantasy book, very, um, very easy to know who's the good guy, who's the bad guy. Sometimes you just need a book where you know who's the good guy and who's the bad guy, because in your life sometimes that's a little bit of a gray area. That's what this book is good at, and I enjoyed that. I enjoyed it. Um, it's just not exactly my style. Let's put it that way. It's a good book. In fact, some people are going to call this a great book. It's not my style, and that's okay. It's okay not to like everyone, and it's okay for not every book to be my style. And I think that that's going to be the theme of April is not every book is my style. And the books that I DNF'd this month are good books that were not my style. And so I think that that's going to be the moral of this one is Alex Harrow has other books that are more my style. This one just wasn't my style. Okay, it's a little bit later. I'm back to do the next 2 books, and it is the 28th. I am desperately trying to finish this one last book so that I can add it to April and not have it go into May. So there might be one book after I do these last two to add into April. I'm hoping, fingers crossed, I can finish it before the end of April. So I'm going to talk about the next two that I've done for this book haul for April, or book summary for April. Um, this one, I did a book review, so I'm not going to go into a lot of detail. Basically, the summary is It Girl by Allison Pataki. If you haven't read it and you like historical fiction, and like it's a read, go read it. It's so good. It's about the original It Girl, and also the trauma of childhood fame, and also being mistreated, and also like men mistreating her, and her mother's choices towards her, and all the things. Anyway, just go watch. I did a shorter video, just a quick like book review on it. But Allison Pataki's It Girl has made me want to go back and read other Allison Pataki um, books, because it is so good. It's about Evelyn Nesbit, and how she was the it girl of like the original. They've compared Taylor Swift to her. They've compared other like it girls, other child stars to her that have gone off like Lindsay Lohan style. Britney Spears has been compared to her. But her end, the reason that she's even more tragic is that she was, they thought, murdered and then wasn't, and like it's so intriguing, so intriguing. And her mother was her manager, and that was a whole thing. And then she has all these problems with men, and but it does it in a very respectful way. This book does, in talking about like how and how this young girl should have been treated. So anyway, definitely, if you're into historical fiction, Allison Pataki's It Girl. Loved it. Not very typical of a historical fiction book. Then I went, talk about like, it was totally two different styles. And then I went to The Fourth Monkey by J.D. Barker. And so I went from a brand new book to a much older book. And this has been on my um, to be read list for like forever. So I had decided that I wanted to kind of catch up my old to be read list books. And this has been compared to the movies Silence of the Lambs, which I love, and Seven. If you are squeamish at all about anything, don't read this book. There's like the trigger warning list is like 16 miles long. Okay, and so I read this when I was going to the Tarpon Springs Book Festival on the way. Finished it as we were pulling into my neighborhood. And y'all, it is so good. And like so much happens. Um, but you cannot be squeamish for this book. So it's, if you like Silence of the Lambs, Hannibal Lecter, if you like Criminal Minds, but like the really intense Criminal Minds episodes, you will love The Fourth Monkey. Um, but don't go into it feeling like with any kind of squeamishness. It's gory. It's intense. The serial killer in this book is diabolical. But also some of the themes of this book of classism, um, and misogyny and patriarchy, while often drowned out by the intense violence, but they do come through. And I think that it does say something in the childhood trauma. Um, they do speak out, and when you get to the themes of the book, I think that it is a very interesting to talk about the themes of this book. I would love to hear if other people have. So I would love to hear other people who have read either of these books, because I want somebody to talk to about these two books. So totally different. I don't think there's many people in the world that would read both of these books. If you are somebody like me and you would read both of these books, we need to be best friends. Like right now. If you've read either of these books, let's still be best friends. If you're interested in either of these books, let's be best friends. But I need to talk to people about both of them. That's how I feel about my life, because they're both good and they're like the two different sides of me. The history side, the like women feminism history side, and the like dark thriller, dark-hearted side of me. But both seriously trigger the side that is passionate about standing up for children with child trauma. Like both of them really dig into child trauma. So for that, they're both there. So anyway, we'll see if I finish up this last book before the end of April and can add it into my April books. I'm trying really hard. It should happen. It, I'm trying. We'll see. Maybe if I get off the video and start reading, tell me to go. To say this, trying to get to this last book and little clip has been difficult would be an understatement. So, like right after I filmed that last clip, I know I mentioned I was sick, and then it just like the world just kind of crashed, and I got really sick, and then I got a sinus infection, and I've just been trying to film this one last book, and it just kept not happening. So to finish, and the Tarpon Springs Book Festival, I got One Last Breath, and by Jenny Meyer Sain. It was good. And it was my last book for April. I ended up with 14 books for April. I'll be honest, personally and book wise, I felt like April just kind of kicked me while I was down, and then ended with me being pretty sick. So I read one less book than I read the other books of the month. And that was actually a pretty big win for me. I thought I was going to only end up with like 10 or 11 books. So to end with 14 books for the month was good. And I did have some really strong 5 stars. But I also had some not so great. This was a 4 star for me. As young adult books go, it was solid. It wasn't awe inspiring. I felt like some of it, for One Last Breath, Jenny Myers Saint, I felt like it went a little too open door romance to be what I would consider young adult. Um, I would have preferred a little bit more closed door romance than this to be what I would want young adult to be. But it was really good. It featured an area of Florida that I am from, and that was very interesting. And so for that, I did. I gave it 4 stars. It was good. I felt like the mystery wise wasn't my favorite. I guessed the plot twist, but for young adult, it was solid. Um, I just know going into it, young adult's a little iffy on it's called young adult because they are young adult, not necessarily because I would hand it to my young adults. Read it for yourself before you give it to your children, but know that as an adult who reads young adult, for me, I enjoyed it. It was good. Very much, if you want to understand what Florida is like in the not tourist part of Florida, this is solid. And I liked that because I am from that part of Florida. The springs, the swamps, the where the alligators are, that part of Florida where we know what to do uh, when we see an alligator. That part of Florida, that's me, and I enjoyed this for that. So all in all, April, I'm not sorry. I'm not sorry to see you go. May is my birthday month. I am happy to see you, and I'm filming this at the beginning of May, having already finished a book because and it's so far May is already looking up. Antibiotic for the sinus infection, finished a book already. Already having a better May than in April, so yay for that. Here's to a great May. Here's to thankfully April being finished. Hopefully May is a good one for you. Love to hear what you read in April. Hopefully April treated you better. I would love to hear how your April treated you. What books did you read in April? Did you have some good 5 stars? I mean, I did read It Girl by Allison Jackie. Definite 5 star for me. I just didn't end like it just. And the Tarpon Springs Book Festival was definitely a highlight of my month. But I definitely just felt like April dragged and was not a 5-star month for me. So, would love to hear from you. How was your reading month in April? Did you have some good 5 stars? And what are you looking forward to in May? Looking forward to my birthday month. Hopefully, it's a good month for you too.